Hey, what's going on? This is Troy, and this is the Planet 76 podcast, your source for Sixers news, highlights, hot takes, and more. Welcome to the show. All right, Michael, you ready for this? Episode 17, what's good?
Let's do this, man. Oh man, this is gonna be quite the episode. I will say, we're gonna get right in. Just get right in. Episode 17. I put on our outline episode 20. I don't know what was going on with my head right there, but it's episode 17, Planet 76. You already know what we're about. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and also go follow us on Instagram. We haven't been as active on there, but still drop us a follow so you're up to date with everything that we got going on. And as you know, I'm co-host Michael, Trust to Love, co-host Troy. We've been at this we've been on the grind. We've been on the grind, man. We've been on it.
Since right before the playoffs started, we kicked off with our first episode, and now we're heading into training camp here soon. So, 17 episodes in, about a episode a week clip. So it's been good, and we're looking forward to the start of the NBA season soon.
Yes.
So, Michael, we did our best. I'm just going to say it like this. We did our best on the last episode, episode 16, to not feature Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons has been a talk of the summer, talk of the offseason, rather, for the Sixers. And he wasn't featured much last week, and that was intentional.
Yes.
And then some pretty big news dropped today. Rumors more established now. You want to tell us what happened today? For any Sixers fan that didn't know, or we're just going to chat about it, but... So today's what? September 21st? What happened?
Well, if you've been living in a cave for the past 12 hours, well, 9 hours, 10 hours, then you should know that Ben Simmons has more or less requested a trade, even though he's under contract. So he didn't really request a trade, but Adrian Wojnarowski has reported that Ben Simmons will not be reporting the training camp. He will not be playing another game for the Sixers, whether or not he's traded. And apparently, according to Woj, this decision came late August when the Sixers had a meeting with Simmons. A couple members from the Sixers team had a meeting with Simmons, and he apparently told them this. I'm not sure to what extent, but he basically told them this. He will not report to training camp, and he does not want to play for the Sixers anymore. And that was the last time he spoke to the Sixers, apparently. And I hope he goes to the Kings to drown in mediocrity. That's all I gotta say. Troy, you can take the floor, Troy.
Well said. Yeah, so these are rumors that obviously have been talked about for the last couple weeks, specifically this thing that, okay, Simmons isn't going to camp. That wasn't reported, and Michael did a tremendous job with this on Trust the Love on this very podcast, talking about, okay, like, this was reported from guys that aren't Woj and, you know, as big of names as Woj, so we need to do some research, check for the facts, make sure this is what it is. And then Woj reported today, and I think you were the first post I saw, Trust the Love, you know, all the Sixers fans I follow, Sixers pages I follow, you're the first one that's like, okay, Woj said it. And you've been quoted even as saying, okay, until Woj says something, yeah, I'm going to tread lightly, if you will.
Right.
And Woj just said something now, and so now we can kind of have more of a firm approach to what we want to say toward Ben and that kind of thing. He's not reporting the training camp. He wants out. And again, for whatever reason, and we're going to talk a lot about Ben on this episode, of course, I think even just give our own personal feelings as a fan toward Ben Simmons and what's going on.
Sure.
And what this means for us. We're going to open up some mail today as well. So if you submitted a question, we appreciate that, or just a topic you want to have us discuss on Planet 76. We're going to get into that, so stay tuned. That'll be toward the end of the episode. But so I guess Ben Simmons is gone and no longer going to play in a Sixers uniform. I'm going to need some new decor for my setup on the pod because Ben Simmons is gone. Dude, I mean, where do we go with this? Like, I don't know.
I mean, there's just a lot to unpack from this whole situation. And like you were mentioning, Now that Woj reports it, I'm all ears.
Okay.
When Woj reports it, that's when I am able to come to the conclusion of, okay, maybe this is actually happening. And that's exactly what ended up happening today. As I made some posts, I was like, well, I guess I know. I guess I have my answer then. But honestly, I said a lot of what I needed to say on my actual account. So if you guys don't follow me on there, make sure you go follow me, Trust and Love. But what I will say on here is that I'm just ready for all this to be over. As I said a couple minutes ago, kind of, sarcastically, but also in a very serious manner. Ben Simmons can go to the Western Conference and never become an All-Star again, and I wouldn't even really care, because at this point, from what he's done and how he's handled this, I just don't care. It's honestly really infuriating to me, and I just don't care. It's come to that for me.
Well said. I mean, you kind of, you mentioned even before we went live, like just the wild, weird range of emotions that this has
a lot going on.
Been. Yeah, kind of like a roller coaster, and there's a lot going on. Even specifically today, like for myself to think about like the emotional roller coaster that this is. We both love Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has been a part of, the greatest. Now, I was very, very young when Allen Iverson was around.
Yeah, me too.
But like the greatest teams that like we can kind of remember, the two of us as fans. Like Ben has been the starting point guard on the best Sixers teams, and you love him for that. And then it's like, well, now he's leaving like this. He wants out. He wants to leave because why? Like, this is the point guard on the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. He wants to leave. Like, you don't see that often, especially with the way he's been treated, in my opinion. Treated well. Beloved by most
Big emphasis
fans.
On well.
And I think any fan base is, you're going to get and hear some stuff from fans. And some of that, for any athlete in the world, is certainly not deserved. But in a way it comes with the territory, not to say it's like warranted, but like, people get mad, people get angry, people get upset, and of course they're going to pin it on the guys that are on the court or on the field or, whatever. You said, I hope he goes to the Kings to drown in mediocrity. And I think I'm there too, because, and this is from, again, I love Ben Simmons, but this certainly changes my view on him just because of the way he's handled it. It's one thing to, like a LeBron after you leave Cleveland to sign in free agency with a different team. It's another thing to leave a very, very capable basketball team that's paying you a lot of money and say, yeah, I'm not going to camp. Get rid of me. I'll sit. It's just strange, and I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a range of emotions, and it's very difficult to process, I think. So.
Yeah, and I think also it's just it's just a lot, like the way that Simmons has handled the situation. Not the best. There were many other ways that he could have gone about this whole thing. I could understand if, we didn't support him for the past 5 years throughout everything that he's done and maybe some things that he hasn't done. But since I can remember somebody called me a bandwagon one time because I became a Sixers fan in like 2015, and that's when Simmons was drafted, and apparently I'm a Simmons bandwagon for that. But I can remember when Simmons was drafted, I was like, let's go. Rookie of the Year. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. Like, I'm pretty sure I actually, well, it was probably a year or two after that. He was one of my first NBA jerseys, besides for Russell Westbrook. For those that don't know, I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan. He was one of my first NBA jerseys. I have 2 of his jerseys. Am I going to wear them anytime soon? No. No way.
I thought about wearing mine like on this episode, but then I was like,
oh,
nah.
No. Not after this, man. And like you said, I'm just going to second on what you said. totally changed my viewpoint of him as a player and honestly as a person. I don't know him, but the way he's handled this has made it seem as though he is kind of just unprofessional and a little bit like, I don't really care. I want to leave. Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's the word you choose, that's fine. It's fine. I won't object to that.
Yeah, it's tough. And speaking of the wide range of emotions, I not even intentionally was scrolling through the photos in my phone, and I see the game I went to last year against the Clippers. I see a 15-second clip of Ben just all over the floor defensively.
Yeah.
I think he got a tipped pass up at the top of the key from Paul George, and then the loose ball went to a Clipper. They picked it back up. They kicked it to the corner, and Ben's there to block it out of bounds. Just so quick and so amazing. And I'm like, well, might as well just start playing Marvin's Room in the background because I was in my feelings big time then, and this is, 2 minutes prior. I'm like, I hate Ben Simmons, and it's you think back, am I going to not watch and remember, Ben Simmons highlights and watch and remember what he was able to do for this team? No, because again, I love watching him play. I've loved his time as a Sixer. But again, it's different when you talk about Ben Simmons now, and he's gonna get the heat that he deserves for that. I think is an okay way to put that. Now again, there's over the top people who should never do what they do and say what they say. But if Ben Simmons is wanting out this way, then Philly fans, including the two of us, are gonna have a reaction toward him that's not positive. Period. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly more to come on him during the mail time. But a couple other things to know. When does training camp start? And, what are we looking like here soon?
So, Sixers Media Day is actually next Monday, coming soon, beginning at 11 a.m. And then training camp will start the next day for about a week until October 3rd. And that's when most of things will happen. Maybe we'll get some more information on this whole thing. Whoops, couldn't speak there. This whole situation, and maybe not, but maybe, you never know. So some more details could come out from Daryl Morey's side, from Doc Rivers' side, from the Sixers' side. We haven't heard much from the Sixers, but we've heard a lot from Simmons, his side actually, not him. The next week or 2 weeks should be hopefully pretty telling, I hope. And also I'm excited for training camp because I do still want to see the Sixers play despite all of this.
Right. Well said. Yeah, I think it'll be, they're going to get questions. Day one through day whatever
as
soon
as Morey walks in those doors,
yep,
everyone's going to be swarming him.
Yep. And so, yeah, you're right. I do hope that we get info. I just, even as you've said all along throughout the offseason, I just don't want this to drag on. Let's get some answers now, and hopefully, barring anything crazy or any new reports and stuff, we won't be talking about Ben a ton until something happens. Hopefully, if there's huge news that we need to address, we'll address it. If Doc Rivers says something very, very important, then we'll address it, that kind of thing. But it very well could be our next big conversation on Ben Simmons is what we got in return for him via trade. So, keep in mind those dates. Training camp coming soon, set for next Monday. So today's the 21st, Monday, the 27th.
Today's Tuesday, so about 6 days.
Yep, we're almost there. It is exciting, even in the midst of all this. It is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I see here another pretty decent podcaster made some big news today. Who might that be?
It's funny you mentioned his podcast. His podcast is one of my favorite podcasts. One of the only podcasts that I listen to and that I actually enjoy. Because, he seems like a nice guy. He's good. He's obviously a good basketball player. And he's a pretty good podcast host. And some of the guests they have on are great. So I really enjoyed that podcast. JJ Redick, Old Man in the Three podcast. JJ, if you're listening to this, you have a good podcast. But also, he has retired today after 15 years. Obviously, he played for the Sixers for, 2 seasons, I believe. So we wanted to give him a little tribute. Good luck in retirement. Congrats on a great career. Should have probably had a ring twice, actually, with the Clippers and with the Sixers. But you know what? It is what it is. And yeah, that's my JJ Redick tribute.
Yeah, he averaged a career high with the Sixers.
He did, didn't he?
Which I don't think, 15 years from now, I don't think a lot of people are going to know. They're not going to be like, JJ Redick, his best tenure was with the Sixers. You know what I mean?
I wonder why. Oh, wait. That's
toward the end of his career
in basketball.
Yep, playing with Joel and playing with Ben did him some good, and I think he enjoyed his time here. So it was kind of a cool thing for him. Do you have a favorite like JJ Redick memory? Sixers, non-Sixers, whatever.
Well, with the Sixers, I forget. I think it may have been against the Magic. He hit a buzzer beater, and I think he ended up winning us the game. And I think it was like a fadeaway 3-pointer, and
yes.
I remember it vividly, and I was like, oh my gosh, JJ Redick. And I remember it was at Wells Fargo Center. I remember Mark Zumoff was like, "What?" Obviously, it was like a legendary thing that happened. I forget what exactly he said, but I remembered ending in JJ Redick just like throwing his hands up in the air, like what? Like I just won the game. Like that was, and it was crazy. And I forget the exact game, the exact date.
That's
I think it was
definitely a
against
good one.
the
I
Magic.
remember that.
But
It was
one of the moments I remember.
I'm pretty sure it was the Magic. Yeah. I think it was the Magic, and I remember I think he hit 2 big shots late. At least the game I'm thinking of, he hit 2 big ones late. Like, he won us that game. I don't know what we were down. We were down 5, and he hit 2 threes to win it. Like, it was something like that. Kind of the same spot, like over on the wing, if I remember correctly, kind of fading out of bounds.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. So that's a good one. Very memorable one. My favorite, or not my, this is kind of weird. I don't know how I even thought about this, but I went to a Sixers game back in the Allen Iverson days. I was very young. I went to a Sixers game in Cleveland in the month of March.
Wow.
Okay. March what? Gosh, 2005. Sure, 2004, 2005. And again, this is weird. I went for a Sixers professional basketball game. JJ Redick was on the Duke Blue Devils at the time. And the hotel that we stayed at, again, this is in Cleveland, I believe, again, in March, Duke was set to play, that weekend in Cleveland. And so there's a lot of Duke fans and people at the hotel. And again, 8-year-old, 9-year-old me remembers a lot of people like rocking JJ Redick jerseys and stuff. And it was just kind of cool. Like, JJ Redick was an icon in college. Like, he was the dude. Everybody either hated him or you loved him. And I just remember that, like, sticking out, seeing a lot of JJ Redick fans because he was the dude in college. And I did enjoy his time with the Sixers for sure. So that's
Definitely.
my story with JJ.
Definitely.
I don't know if anybody else would say that's their memory with JJ, but it is mine. So
that's unique, though. Like that's
for sure.
That's for a good reason. Like I don't think anybody will say that specifically. That's unique,
Right. All right. I think it's mail time.
All right, let's do it. Got our listener mailbag here. We got a couple questions.
Who we got?
And I guarantee you that if you submitted a question before 3 p.m. today, then you got your question in. But if it was after 3 p.m., I regret to inform you that it's probably not here. So we'll definitely do another listener mailbag to include any of those questions and more. But we have our listener mailbag.
Sounds good.
Like I said, a couple questions. We have, I think, a total of 6 questions maybe. But they are from, obviously, you guys. So first question is from Gianni Orlando, someone that has been following me for a while. So I appreciate the support, Gianni, if you're watching this, listening to this, actually. He asks, where will Ben be traded to, if and when? So if Ben is traded, where? If Ben is traded, when?
Wow.
We still don't really know. We still don't know.
I might go with the trendy one. Again, there's a different trend every couple days with where everybody thinks Ben's going to go. I'll go with the most recent trend, with the Houston Rockets. Like, I mean, again, I have nothing that says, okay, he's going there, but, like,
no basis, just
if I'm
throwing it up
you
in
ask
the
the
air.
question, I'm gonna pick one. So
Right.
it's the Houston Rockets getting John Wall in return and several others and a load of picks. It was funny that I sent it to you today. Ben Simmons on his Instagram story, just the audacity of this guy. He knows there's rumors going around that it could be Ben and John Wall in a trade, and he's working out with John Wall, and he posted on his Instagram today
What are the odds of
video.
him being there with John Wall? Like, that's just too coincidental.
You know they're talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
That it's a possibility that they're in different uniforms. So, kind of funny because they agreed. Houston and John Wall agreed to like find him a new home.
Yeah.
Like they're at that level. Like he's gone. So, I'll say that one. And when I will say, I'm trying to think of like before the regular season or after like the regular season starts. I will say the regular season will be underway before Simmons is gone.
Okay. All right. I mean, me, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a matter of when, not if, but I just don't know. I feel like it's definite at this point, but again, I don't know when it will be. It could be tomorrow. It could be in a week.
Right.
It could be the day of media day. It could be the day of training camp. It could be 2 days in the training camp. It could be at any time. It could be at 3 a.m. tonight. I mean, we just don't know at this point. I don't really know what the deal is going to look like if there is one. But I mean, like,
yeah. Do you think it goes into the regular season? Do you think what's the
man.
percentage? You would say that like October 5th or whatever the regular season, November 1st.
20-something.
November 1st, let's say.
I mean, I sure hope it doesn't go
he's
that
on the
long.
team. Okay.
That's almost a month and a half away. I'd like to think that he's gone before then. I hope so.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that's a good answer. All right, next one. DJ Rockstar_Rockstar. I like this one. 2-part question here. Who has more value, Seth Curry or Tyrese Maxey? And then Danny Green or Shake Milton. So we'll take the first one first. Who has more value, Seth Curry or Tyrese Maxey? Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I mean, I think this is a no-brainer. I think it's Tyrese Maxey. While I do think Seth Curry is very valuable as a player and as a piece in a trade, I think it's Tyrese Maxey, and I don't know if I have to even really explain. I mean, it's Tyrese Maxey. We all know the deal with him, and I think it's Tyrese Maxey.
So what if I asked you, because this makes a difference when I was thinking about my answer, what if I said Sixers' best chance or whatever to win a title this year, this season alone, the world's going to end after this NBA season. Who is more valuable, Seth Curry or Tyrese Maxey?
I think that's situational because if Simmons isn't here, we need a point guard.
Okay.
And Tyrese Maxey will probably be that guy unless he's shipped off as well. But Seth Curry, I mean, he's a vet now. I mean, he was a vet before, but he's the perfect fit alongside Embiid, similar to what we were talking about earlier with JJ Redick. He complements Embiid so well, and that's one of the pieces that's one of the things that we have been needing and that we always need to put around Embiid. So it really is situational, and a lot of it depends on if Simmons is here or not.
I think that is an excellent answer.
I don't know who I would pick in that scenario. I don't know who I'd pick.
It's an excellent answer, though, because it truly is situational. I mean, I hope Seth is as good as he was last year when Ben's not here. But Ben really helps Seth, be who he is. I mean, just in the fact that, like, Ben doesn't look for a shot. Tyrese Maxey is going to look for a shot, and it's going to be for himself a lot, and that's okay. But Ben, is looking for others, and so part of Seth getting shots off is thanks to having a pass-first point guard. And so it is very situational. I agree. If I were to answer that, I would say I would take the easy answer and say Seth if it's this year, regardless of situation, and then long-term, of course, I'd go with Tyrese. Then the next two, Danny Green or Shake Milton. I'm going to let you go first on that one as well.
Okay.
Danny Green or Shake?
I mean, I'd say Shake. He's still young. Danny's a little bit older. He's getting up there in age. Obviously, he still provides you a lot of value, especially if you're the Sixers, or, I mean, really any team. He fits anywhere, obviously, just because of what he can do. But I'd say Shake, just for the sake of him being younger, more upside. Right now, obviously, because he's younger. Still pretty relatively high ceiling, I would say, for the most part. So I'll say Shake.
Yeah. I say Shake as well, though as much as I have a weird relationship with Danny Green. As much as I
What does that mean?
As much as I hate to admit it, this is closer than I'd like to admit for me. And if you asked me this time last year before Danny Green first played on the 76ers, it's Shake Milton all the way, because I was not a very big Danny Green fan at all before the Sixers. And that was not like the recency bias, because a lot of people jumped on Danny Green when he couldn't make a shot with the Lakers in the playoffs. And I promise you, that was not it for me. I just wasn't a big Danny Green guy. That's just the facts. And so... All right, Alex Marrero. I know him.
Oh, really?
Cool kid. Goofball.
Is that the one that was commenting about back in June, was saying all that weird stuff?
Oh, no. That's a different guy. Yeah. This kid is funny. He's actually a Nets fan. Yeah. So he says, how do you feel about Ben Simmons not coming back to Philly? Of course, that's something we've touched on, but I'm going to add, you as a person, not as a Instagram fan page. I'm going to say, how do you feel personally, Michael, about Ben Simmons wanting out of Philly?
Well, personally, I mean, I feel the exact same way. I express how I feel about the Sixers on my page, and that's what I say is how I feel. In both aspects. I'm just ready to have this over with, done with. I'm glad Embiid is still here, and if we lost Embiid, I would have been devastated. If it was Embiid, I would be sobbing right now if it was Embiid. And I don't care if Embiid forces his way out. Embiid deserves everything good that happens to him in his career. So if he had to force his way out, then I would be like, all right, Embiid, I understand. But since it's Simmons and since it happened this way, it's a lot worse. And I'm just like, all right, peace out, Benny. It's over.
Okay. For me, I get an attachment with certain players, as a lot of fans do in the NBA or NFL, MLB, whatever. And Ben Simmons is definitely one of those guys. And, it just sucks,
It sucks.
And I wish it was... I think, because I'm blaming Ben Simmons, and I almost wish the situation was different, and it was like Ben Simmons got traded for James Harden back a few months ago, and that was not Ben's doing. That was all Daryl Morey and that kind of thing. And then I can blame, not that I was going to be mad when we got James Harden, I was going to be happy when we got James Harden, but then I can say, okay, Ben was traded. That's part of the game. That's part of what happens. And then, think about it. Our view of Ben Simmons would be very, very differently right now if the Sixers were able to get James Harden.
Drastically different.
I mean, think about it. And yet, the fact that Ben Simmons is no longer here would be the same. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of interesting. Just the way he's getting out it plays a huge role in the way that you view Ben Simmons, the way I view Ben Simmons, the way Sixers fans, media view Ben Simmons right now. And it just sucks.
Yeah,
I wish I didn't view him that way, but you do. So, all right, we got another 2-part question. What's that?
So, Austin Ramirez, 21. What other moves will we make? And then the next question is, how bad of an idea is Simmons for... Can't even finish the sentence. How bad of an idea is Simmons for a wall? So, why don't you answer this first part here? What other moves will we make? And then we'll go from there.
All right. What other moves will we make? I'm going to say, I'm just thinking about this now. I'm going to say if Ben Simmons is gone regardless of who we get in return, or maybe an emphasis will certainly be the point guard position, because Ben has been the starting point guard for X amount of years. And it's like, okay, if Ben's gone, first question is Tyrese Maxey here? Is Shake Milton here? And, what veteran guard is here, or do we need to bring in? That's probably my big thing is, okay, as much as I like those two guys, like, who's going to be a veteran presence? And it could be someone that's, like, old and going to get 15 minutes a game or something. But, like, that'll be my biggest question, is just because, for the sole fact that, like, Ben Simmons has been that dude. Now he's not. And are the other two guys here? And if they are, or if they're not, like, let's go get someone that can help in that point guard room.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think and again, it all comes down to Ben Simmons, more or less, as it usually does here and in the Sixers world. But, it's depending on what happens with Simmons, we may have to add a little bit of depth at the point guard spot. But other than that, I don't really know or see what other moves the Sixers could and will make. I don't think there are any more, really, because the offseason, for the most part, is pretty much over. Most of what was going to happen has already happened. So I don't really see the Sixers doing anything else significant, if that's a better way to answer.
Right. I think this will be a good question, closer to the trade deadline, closer to, signing whatever that period is called when you sign a bunch of free agents to small contracts
buyout
and stuff
market.
Like that. Yeah, the buyout market and all that fun stuff will be interesting to see. Okay, Sixers are struggling at this position. Who can help?
Yeah.
Because we don't know that right now, because we're not in the season. But could definitely see point guard being the point of interest moving forward. How bad of an idea is Ben Simmons for John Wall?
Now, I know there's a huge subset of Sixers fans that just want Simmons gone for scraps. That's how it's been, but there's more people like that now, obviously, after the past couple hours. But it's just, what does that do for us? We're getting an older player on a similar contract, which makes the contract worse. He's injury prone. He hasn't played a full season in a few years. We don't know what he's going to look like. What if he gets injured? What if he gets season-ending injury? Sixers don't have a point guard. Well, they have Maxey, but if he gets traded, he probably won't. But it's not a good idea. It's scraps at this point. Do we want Simmons for scraps still? I don't think so. I don't think Daryl Morey feels that way either. I think he is still going to get the best deal that he can for Simmons. And listen, if this is the best deal for Simmons, okay, fine. But I know that this cannot be the best deal out there. I know that at least a few more teams are interested in giving up a significant amount for Ben Simmons. A handful of teams, at the very least, are still interested. So this is not the bare minimum deal. So
Well said. Scraps, because I'm so glad so many Sixers fans are not in the front office, because Ben would have been gone a long time ago.
We would have Malik Beasley. We would have Marvin Bagley. We would have James Wiseman. We'd have a bunch of just players globbed together, and here you go, Embiid.
Right.
It's like...
Yeah. So it's bad. It's bad. Now, I will say this. If that happens, and if we have no control, well, we don't have any control, but if we have no say, hypothetically, Ben and John Wall, they're switching teams, the package around that matters tremendously to at least make it a little more presentable, a little more like, okay, here we go, let's start the season. We got this, and this. So the package matters. Maybe, I don't know if a third team can get involved in that or what. It's not like the Rockets have a ton that is like, ooh, that is interesting to me or entices me, but the package around that matters. And unlike a Damian Lillard, we kind of sit in the driver's seat in that, in terms of we're not the one that would have to send the house. like you said, Tyrese ain't going anywhere if we're getting John Wall. That's a fact. It better be a fact. Shake's not going, hopefully. And, there's a lot less that we give up for John Wall, and deservingly so. I think he hasn't played, like you say, he hasn't played a full season in a long time, but he hasn't played, like, I saw a stat. I forget what the number was, but he hasn't played, like, over 40 games in 4 years, 5 years. Like, that's not pretty.
Not at all.
But when he plays, he's all right. But again, he is getting up there. He's a little older now, around 30, I guess. Yeah. So we'll see. That is a bad idea. But yeah. So let me ask you one. I'm gonna give a mailbag here for the last spot on the pod today. My mailbag question for you is something that you just touched on with Daryl Morey and his willingness to make a deal and that kind of thing. Is how long could Daryl possibly wait? Like, how long is he going to wait for a deal that he wants rather than, even if it's in the slightest bit, settle? Like, what's the craziest thing in your mind that you could see Daryl doing to wait for what he wants?
Well, for Daryl Morey, it's chess, not checkers. So I could see him waiting as long as he needs to. Really, like, I'm being dead serious. I saw a couple things today with some people are saying the Sixers should sit Ben Simmons for the entirety of his contract and force him to make a decision to play or not. But and I'm sure some people meant it as a joke, but in all seriousness, I think Daryl Morey and the Sixers organization could theoretically be like, okay, Simmons, we're gonna get the deal we want for you. So if you're not gonna play, we're gonna bench you until we find a trade. Because really, even though Ben Simmons kind of pulled a fast one on the Sixers, they still have control of the situation. And again, some people might think, oh, well, they can't get value for Simmons. No, Daryl Morey will get value for Simmons. That's been the constant this whole time. Daryl Morey will get value that he wants for Ben Simmons. That is definite.
Meaning it could be a while.
So it could be a while.
It could be a while.
It could be a while.
So the other part of that is if a deal doesn't happen and Ben Simmons isn't playing, hypothetically, through Christmas.
Oh my.
Like, let's say through the year, Ben Simmons is on the Sixers but not on the Sixers. You gotta imagine that the Sixers aren't going to be where they could be in the standings.
Yeah.
And what do you think Daryl cares? Like, I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but, like, as opposed to being in the top 3, they could be 5, 6, like, who knows, in a couple months. Because they don't have, not only are they not getting anything in return for Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons ain't on the floor. Like, an all-star, and they have nothing to show for it. So that, could make an impact. And I think, I'm just thinking about this now, but Ben Simmons' trade value might even diminish or the urgency of the trade value diminishes while the trade urgency increases if the Sixers start the season 3-8. Tell me I'm wrong.
There's so many layers to this, man. It's crazy. This whole situation is ridiculous. In every meaning of the word ridiculous, that describes the situation right now.
Yep. People are going to be, if the Sixers start the season 3-8, people are going to be yelling at Daryl Morey, get something in return. Let's get the thing rolling. Who cares who it is? Go get John Wall and let's play ball. Like, that's the territory that comes if the Sixers get off to a rough start. I'm just here to tell you that's my thought.
That's not even a thought. It's the truth, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Training camp starting up next week, September 27th. Any other final thoughts? What do you got?
Get your snacks ready. Get your drinks ready. It's gonna be a long time, probably. In my opinion, it's gonna be a nice little chunk of time we're waiting still for all this to be over.
All right. and because of that, we're not gonna jump into the feels too early and give like some Ben Simmons, best memories yet. Anything that crazy, that'll be to come, and we'll see when that happens. But hey, this is Planet 76. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Google Podcasts, I don't even know where you're listening. YouTube, subscribe, toss a like, give a comment. Follow us on Instagram, Planet 76 Podcast. You can stay up to date with all of our episodes. You can see some clips of episodes there, and Sixers-related news and content. Hey, training camp starts next week. We'll drop an episode, a couple days into training camp. Maybe we'll have some info, at least from Sixers camp, and be able to plug away at that. But until then, this is Planet 76, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.